Have you been suffering a lot as a result of trauma and you've tried all kinds of things and it just doesn't work? I get it. I spent decades trying to figure it out for myself and then for the people I work with. So it people try all kinds of things and people make all kinds of promises and so forth, and it gets really confusing. So I'm going to give you an overview in terms of first who I am, and then after that, what works, what doesn't work so well, and the multidimensional aspects. We're not just in this body and this lifetime. We're also connected with energies more broadly, and etc. So I'll talk about these various aspects. If you're interested, stay with me. My name is Ramy. I've been in the helping field now for almost 50 years, certified as a couple and family therapist and trainer in the field, specializing in trauma, energy healer, etc. So, first, let me talk a little bit about current life trauma and what works and what doesn't work with that. So, I've tried multitudes of things in terms of I've worked with people with sizable difficulties. Like I spent 10 years as a family therapist in child protection, helping people to heal from these various aspects of violence and abuse and so on. And working with, I spent some years there as well, working as a family therapist again with people from Indian reserves, as we call them in Canada. So First Peoples. So people who've got, I'm choking on this, people who've been sizably traumatized over generations. You see, part of what can happen to us is we can choke on the energies. We can just choke on things that we've connected with before. We can choke now, today, in terms of listening to something, a show. So we can choke in terms of crying about something or getting angry and getting caught up into the energies. But we can get caught up at the energetic level as well. Part of the difficulty is that we can do the talking cure, as they call it. So regular forms of counseling and talk on and on and on about these things, which I've done piles of. I worked with over 70, 70 different helpers and healers of various types to try to help me heal. Pretty much nothing worked. I had to go more and more deeply and profoundly. So now part of the issue is that medication works some for quite a few people, but only as long as you take the medication. So some methods that are really powerful and really quick in terms of healing trauma that you need to know about and that we practice, but that's not enough too. I'll talk about that in a minute. So energy psychology of various types, energy psychotherapy, different names for the same thing. There's a number of different types of that are really powerful, really quick for healing a trauma within half a minute or a minute, a few minutes maybe. And some trauma are complex, right? So, for example, if a person has been sexually abused, there's many aspects and layers. So, and visualization, healing visualizations is also very powerful in terms of healing trauma. Been used for the military who's gone to war and etc. etc. Now, pardon me. Now, there's also a question in terms of how well does this work for how long? If you do some things that don't work really deeply and resolve things for you, then you need to consider, do I need to do more of this and then more and then more and more? Like some people, I work with the same counselor, therapist, psychiatrist, whatever, psychologist for years, years of this, and they go basically nowhere. It feels good sitting in there, just spewing forth in terms of how you feel, and then you go home. And for some other forms of helping, then you get re-traumatized. It just brings stuff up, and you feel horrendous afterwards. Now, The energy psychology and the visualizations, as I meant, a guided imagery, many people call it, are invaluable. If that doesn't work, we need to go more deeply. So one of the aspects is called ancestral trauma. So there's research that's been done of people who've gone through really massive trauma. The first discovery, I think it was with survivors of the Holocaust. So people survived the Holocaust in Germany, World War II, and they were freed up and they had kids later. Their kids were more easily traumatized than other people. So so the DNA of the people in the prison camps were their DNA was affected and it got passed on to their kids. And there's also, the the people, the survivors, had trauma in their field, so that gets passed on. So there's different layers. But the DNA, the ancestral piece, is really crucial. So you think about, what did my gang go through? What my parents go through, my grandparents, and etc. Might I be carrying some trauma from there? And knowing that is really valuable. But if you don't know how to heal it, you're stuck. You know about the cause of the pain, of some of the cause of the pain, and there's nothing you can do about it. But we've learned over time, there's certainly some things that you can do. It's very easy to clear once you know. So that's another form. There's also collective consciousness, and there's different aspects of that. So, for example, a place where you work, let's say, is really toxic, so there's collective energy there. Or in your country, you just elected somebody, a big bull, who in a china shop, who's really riles everything up and is really scary. So there's collective trauma from there for some people. Some people say, "Yay, our leader is going to give us a wonderful world now," and other people end up losing out. So that's another form of trauma, and there's environmental stuff, global warming, and so on. There's some people say, "Nah, that doesn't exist," and for some other people, they're really impacted. So, and the last one I'll talk about a little bit is a past life trauma. So let's say you were abused in this lifetime as a child, and research shows that the first year and a half of life were critical in terms of what was going on in terms of bonding between the mother and the child, partly protective energy and so on. And so you as a child got traumatized then, and our perception is that we chose where we incarnated this lifetime. So we chose to go through this stuff because there are some things from before to work through. So you can do wonderful healing in terms of trauma for your inner child from when you were tiny, or even in utero during mama's pregnancy and so on. And there's various other layers. But then there's these other aspects as well. They're absolutely of the essence. For some people, all they need is one or two layers or one or two sessions, and they're just done. You feel better, and Bob's your uncle, as the saying goes. And for some of us, we need to go more and more and more profoundly. And part of what happens is we become more fully in our body. We become more connected with our higher self. We become more open to our guidance. We're able to be more successful in our lives, able to be in a great loving relationship, potentially, if that's our goal, to be on mission, if that's our goal. More in capacity at various levels. So if you're interested in that kind of thing, I'm going to do a little bit of healing work now. So I'm going to focus on your DNA, because most people don't work on that. Hardly anybody works on that. So let's ask for spirit to go into your DNA. So Lord, we work with particular high beings for various kinds of things. So you think in terms of they have specialties. Like, for example, Archangel Michael is a major warrior, WA warrior. So and Lakshmi is a goddess of abundance, helps you feel abundant and rich within yourself, and etc. And Mother Mary, compassion, so on. So for this trauma, for many kinds of trauma, it's really useful to work with Lords of Karma and Archangel Michael. Have that in the energy from them go into your cellular level and DNA and heal some of the trauma that you carry from your parents or before. Not going to work for everybody because some of you don't have major trauma. You might not feel it. And some people are not in touch with energies, even though they might improve as a result of the clearing. They don't feel it. So just try. See what happens. Another thing that can really impact us is energy around us that we carry. So let's say that you still carry the energies of resulting from the toxic experiences that you had that caused your trauma. So whether your parents separated when you were 7 years old, or you were sexually abused as a child, or violence and so forth, I'm going to help to clear some of those particular energies. So you can use, there's different ways of clearing energy, but if you're not precise in terms of what you're clearing for, the likelihood of getting it is low or non-existent, maybe as well. So depending on the person, depending on the depths of the issues and so on. So let's ask Spirit to come in through the crown of your head and clear the layers of your aura where you've been so damaged that you carry in your field, resulting from what you specifically went through. So Lords of Karma, Archangel Michael, clear the etheric layer of your energy field. Just feel, you don't need to do anything. Emotional, mental, Buddhic, ethnic, galactic, and so on. Wait for a few seconds for the process to finish. It has to put protection around you. High being that feels right for you, protector. Archangel Michael, for example. Christ energy, for example. Krishna. Check in and see how you're doing. And you can choose to come back to this video and listen to this healing portion again so the healing can go more deeply. It's an option for you to consider. So this is part of what we train people how to do. We teach people how to clear various forms of trauma for themselves and helping others if they want that. But it's not enough. Part of what's needed is to learn how to assess very precisely how to clear various difficulties. I'll give you an example. So we have a variety of charts that we use in our main transformational webinar series, multidimensional transformation. So you see the number of charts, and so and then there's wheels like this, and so you can go, for example, into a particular chart, a chart in terms of couples, for example, and then you get guided. So I use a pendulum, and you get guided to a particular item, and then you assess further from there, and so then you're very precise, and then you specifically can learn to I know exactly where a particular trauma, the source of a trauma, is coming from. Oh, this lifetime when I was 3 years old, this and this happened. Clear. And then the roots from, I carry my mother's dense energy from then, for example. Clear. From my field. And then I have a past life issue related to this. Clear. And etc. It's very precise, really clear, and you can do this. It's part of what we do. We train people how to transform whatever, and that's part of the goal. So whether you're just want to heal trauma, or you also want to be in sacred relationship, or you want to be in mission, or you want to ascend, go to higher levels of consciousness, part of what we do is we help people to heal and transform in relation to those various areas. So you get guided very precisely by spirit, by your guides, in terms of the clearing. If you're interested in learning more about this, hit the button below, and we'll give you a free webinar regarding this. Okay. Thank you for listening. Take care.